What we're going to do is ask Tory to come up and give us a brief recap of the platform issues that we just voted on at the State Democratic Convention.
Good morning. At the convention, you got on some of the tables there the report on the Platform and Resolution Committee for the 2025 Convention of South Carolina Democratic Party. The only one that I have to add at the last was during the last part of the convention when we were voting, the Young Democrats added, and Christy's going to be sending me that, is the hate crime to get rid of it. And that came from the Young Democrats. But these issues that we have both federal and state, the federal is protecting voting rights and expanding access to the ballot. And if you go through it, it basically deals with if you heard them about registration, if you have a hyphenated name, if you are married, you can't vote because of the fact that it doesn't match your birth certificate. This is why that exists. Climate action and clean energy investment. The South Carolina Democrat urges the U.S. Congress to pass climate change legislation. Have you noticed the change throughout the country? What's happening to the environment? How many of you enjoyed that hurricane? I thought in my life I'd never see an F5 or an F6 tornado in the Midwest. And they're having those. They were taken off the books 20-some years ago. Also, universal health care, affordable access to medical care. We're calling for the Affordable Care Act, including public option, and urges federal government to work toward a universal health care. And I don't know about you guys, I have some health bills myself. Uphold democratic norms and accountability. The South Carolina Democratic Party publicly condemns any actions, past or present, that violate constitutional norms. And basically that's how they're doing or shifting the Constitution. If you notice, we're having judicial having to block because they're violating the Constitution. That's our document that protects us, every part of it. Again, then environmental protection for public health. This is one of the things that they talked about in here was the fact, does anybody remember when the pipes were bad in Detroit? Have they fixed them? No. They're still the same way. That affects children. They can control those children because of their health and their mental. Preserve and strengthen U.S. Postal Service. And Columbia, we got to see at the demonstration the fact that the post office is not technically part of the government. It's separate. They have a union. And what this talks about is publicly operated institution. They should have access to communication and services in rural areas and not be privatized. How many of you gone to FedEx or UPS? What's the fee like to mail a letter? They're a corporate structure. You want the post office. Structural reform and defense of democratic institution. South Carolina Democratic Party advocates for robust institutional reforms to restore trust in the democratic systems, dealing with legal action against unconstitutional acts, legal legislative safeguards for judicial independence and voting rights, full transparency and accountability in lobbying and government conduct, policies that reduce social economic inequalities, support universal services, health care, living wages, green jobs. And it passed through. Then the Electoral College reform, we're pushing in that one to try to get so that we don't have the Electoral College because, as you know, how many elections has Trump won just by the Electoral College? Support the public education, South Carolina Democratic Party reaffirms its commitment to free, high-quality public education for all children and opposes the reduction or redirection of public education funds to private institutions. Reproductive rights. South Carolina Democratic Party supports medical access to abortion and reproductive health care for all individuals, opposes the prosecution of health care providers who offer these services. That's important, guys, extremely important, because of the fact that at the end a child pays, okay? Fair redistricting in South Carolina that conducted by a nonpartisan independent body to ensure fair representation and prevent gerrymandering for political advantage. Very important. When I was lobbying this semester at the state legislature, that was one of the things I heard. They were going to shift the boundaries and watch them split this town up, because they know this is the Achilles tendon. So get ready. And like I said, the hate crime with the young Democrats, they all passed at the convention. That's about it for right now.
So let's put some context on that. Why is that important? You know, everybody keeps saying, well, the Democrats aren't doing anything. The Democrats don't, and the litanies go on. What she's just shared with you right there are what our platform issues are. These are the core principles that the party itself is going to build around. As you look at that, if you see that some of these are issues that you agree with or you feel passionately about, please get involved. We need to not only raise that message amongst the people here in this room, but the people in the community. If we're saying we want you to come out and support our candidates, then they need to understand what we believe and how we're going to go about addressing all of that. That's why that's important to you. So you'll see more about those platform issues. No one issue is going to be the golden BB that's going to solve everything. No one issue may not be the one thing that's motivating you the most. I'm asking us to grow beyond just being single issue voters to saying what's good for the common good for everybody. I may not have you exactly where I want you on this particular issue over here, but on these other 5, I agree with everything that you're trying to do, and there's a reason for us to join together and push that forward and work out the details on this other item. See how that goes? All right, so that's what's happening with that.